Chris Farley was one of the most beloved entertainers of not only the 90s, but of all time. His success on the big and small screen was undeniable. From SNL to Tommy Boy and everything in between. But what happens when being the funniest guy in the room isn't enough? Live from LA, it's Death in Entertainment.
Live from Los Angeles.
911, what is your emergency?
Here in Hollywood now.
2 counts of murder,
Injury and death.
Oh my God!
Shocking new details
That has stunned the entertainment world.
This makes me a little nervous.
The hair stood up on my arms.
Just like in the movies.
What do you call this thing anyway?
Death
In entertainment.
Hello, Deados.
We're back.
Hi.
Back. Another week.
Back in black.
Another death.
Yes, another episode.
Another in entertainment.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? My name is Kyle Plouffe.
My name is Mark Mulcairn.
And I'm Alejandro Dowlane.
And we are coming in with a highly requested episode 49, the last one of the 40s. Mr. Chris Farley, everybody.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Big fan over here.
This one's going to be hilarious and sad, pretty much like all of them.
Yeah.
So get ready.
What's our disclaimer we're doing these days now?
Oh, yeah. If you're here for a Dateline NBC type coverage of someone's death, it ain't happening, okay?
Yeah.
We're here to have a good time. We're sending these people out with a roast and a toast, okay?
We're having a little fun, but not at their expense. We're just having a laugh, and, because dark things are sometimes funny, and we got some dark sense of humor here, but, we are sensitive about the death of Chris Farley and other people that we depict on here.
Yes.
And if you can't laugh at dark stuff sometimes,
Yeah.
then what is it really all about?
We're doomed as a society if we can't do that.
Who even are you?
Yeah.
And with that, this episode is going to take us all the way back to December 18th, 1997. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. What do we have for the pop culture flash? December 18th, 1997. What was going on in the world of music?
I'm going to kick it off here. I'm going to say the Billboard Top 3. I have top 3 songs for you right here. Number 3, You Make Me Wanna by Usher.
You make me want to leave the girl I'm with.
Oh, that's that song.
Start a new relationship.
I like that meme
you.
on Twitter with him where he's like, watch this. Have you seen that?
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, okay.
Watch what?
It's like from a song that he did, but they use that meme to like people say,
Watch this.
if you think I haven't eaten too much of this buffet, watch this. Yeah.
It's not like watch this video I made.
No. It's like watch, like it's a bit. It's stupid.
Okay.
Number 2, How Do I Live by Leanne Rimes.
Ooh, this used to make 10-year-old Kyle cry.
How do I live without you? I want to know. Yeah.
Oddly enough, Trisha Yearwood sang this song at the exact same time. And that's the version that's in Con Air.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, because that was before Leanne Rimes did it.
Wait, so
Yes.
is this like a stock song that like people just do?
No, if for some reason 2 major recording artists, both in the country genre, recorded a version of it, and both of them were hits.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Same year.
people do that, though. If the song's that good, it's like Blinded by the Light. Manfred Mann did a version of that. It's Bruce Springsteen's song, then he did a version.
Oh, I forgot. I got into an argument with someone at a bar about that, and then I was like, then you came over and you were like, no, that's Springsteen's song.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, you know what
I
you're
will not
talking
back
about.
you up for just so you know, if you're wrong, I'm not going to back you up on some bullshit.
Diane Warren wrote it.
Okay.
She's the one that wrote all those big movie hits
Yeah.
in the 90s.
The Michael Bay shit.
Yeah, the Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing and all that.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She's the hit machine then.
She's a monster.
Wow.
I've heard.
Okay.
No, number 1, Candle in the Wind,
1997.
1997 by Elton John. So, Kyle, do you want to explain what went on there?
So 3.5 months prior to this, Princess Diana died. And so at her funeral, he did a version of Candle in the Wind that became a fucking monster
And
hit.
he made a lot of money off of it.
So much money.
And was it all to charity?
I don't know that, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think
right.
that was one of his big selling points. Was like, I'm gonna donate to the Diana Fund or something.
Or the my new wig fund.
And the original about Norma Jean, of course.
Yes.
Very apropos to happen right now because the Queen just died, and that's like no
look
songs
at
for her. I
this.
noticed. Huh?
Yeah, what are you busy out there?
Yeah.
Come on.
So the interesting thing about this top three also is that from mid-October of 1997 to the first week of 1998, this was the top three. These three exact songs.
Nothing changed.
The
order.
You Make Me Wanna and How Do I Live swap places maybe once or twice, but Candle in the Wind was number one for I don't even know how long. It's even past 1998. Like
it's still number 1.
Yeah. In all of our hearts.
Yeah.
So that was just crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that where it's been the top three for the entire, pretty much all of fall, all of winter, and into a new year.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
So what was going on in the world of the box office?
Well, you will be happy to know that number 4 is Flubber.
Robin Williams' vehicle.
Oh, the dolphin movie?
No.
Oh, the green flubber. Robin Williams is like a scientist.
The absent-minded professor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And if you listen to the Robin Williams episode, you know that 1997 was a big movie year for Robin Williams.
Yeah.
He did Deconstructing Harry with Woody Allen.
Yeah. Who's retiring today?
Is he?
Yeah, it's on Twitter today.
Good riddance.
Good riddance.
Bye-bye, you
I'm not going to
pedo
be making
weirdo.
any more movies in the future.
Yeah, Kyle, nice try. You love Annie Hall.
We got a Woody sympathizer over here.
No,
I know.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm sorry I brought up Deconstructing Harry. And it was forced retirement, let's be honest. It's not like...
Yeah, well,
It's not like Tom Brady
he officially
retiring.
put in his papers, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, he hasn't made a good movie since the 90s anyway, so...
Yeah, he was done anyway.
Since his daughter was 12.
Hey-o.
Okay, anyway... Let's
Oh, I
keep
mean his
this-
wife. My bad, his wife.
Oh, yeah.
Can we keep
It
this
was his daughter.
family
Yeah.
friendly, please?
Well, he does.
So Robin Williams was in Deconstructing Harry, Flubber, Father's Day, and Good Will Hunting.
Oh.
4
97,
movies.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway, who cares? I'm so distracted by that. 3, Tomorrow Never Dies, James Bond.
Yeah.
This one, it was his first after GoldenEye.
Denise Richards in this too?
No.
No.
You're thinking of The World Is Not Enough.
Okay, never mind.
And then
I was thinking of Wild Things.
that was
Yeah.
that's a good thriller. That's a very good thriller.
Great movie, yeah.
Very
threesome.
thrilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay. Tomorrow Never Dies. Whatever.
Yeah.
Not too memorable. Number 2, Scream 2.
Would you look at that?
How's that?
Hey,
I don't know if I
two
liked,
twos.
I didn't like the Scream 2.
Really?
I liked
No.
it.
I loved it when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the first one. Just so good and classic that I just kind of stick to that. Maybe I'll give it another watch tonight.
It's a serviceable sequel.
Okay.
They made it real quick. It was less than a year after the first one.
They had that heat going on with the Scream franchise.
Yeah, a lot of heat.
That will come up in this this episode. How people like to do that in the 90s.
What?
Just instantly move on to the next movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
After a little bit of success.
Is that a little hint to Alejandro right now?
It's a little hint to
Move on to the next
move on.
movie.
Mr. Farley.
Okay.
No.
Number 1. The number 1 movie at this time. James Cameron. Leo. Kate.
Avatar?
Bates. Zane. As in Billy Zane.
Why you get the whole cast?
Titanic.
Oh, King of the World.
It was a Titanic success.
Hello!
This movie.
Okay.
It's turning 25 this year, so Leo's going to lose
wow.
interest in it.
Speaking
Wow.
of memes.
You had that one locked and loaded. Speaking of all the songs staying on the charts, Titanic,
Biggest
was
movie ever,
the
or one
number
of
one
them.
movie for like 6 months.
Yeah.
after
And then
this.
he outdid himself with Avatar, right? That took over Titanic as like biggest movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's inflation too.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
But
why I
yes.
want to know. I would need to know
Thanks, Biden.
tickets sold. That's the only metric that should be known.
Apparently, Gone with the Wind is one of
Wow.
the highest earning movie of all time, adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe it. Well, they paid probably the people on set like nothing. They were basically, you know.
Yeah.
And it made about $250 back in 1939.
Which is $3 billion in today's money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, yeah, that inflation rate is pretty high.
Yeah, pretty high.
Again, thanks, Biden.
Christopher Crosby. I had no idea that was his middle name.
Christopher Crosby.
Christopher Crosby Farley. He was born February 15th, 1964, to his parents Tom and Mary Ann Farley. They had a big, giant, this is so like typical of, I feel like America, but Catholic families specifically.
Yeah.
Big Irish Catholic family, 7 of them grown up. He had, his 2 parents, obviously, and then his brothers Tom Jr., Kevin Farley, John, and his sister Barbara.
Wow.
And where did they live?
They hailed from your home state. He was born in Madison, Wisconsin, and then grew up in Maple Bluff, which looks like a section of like North Center Madison, I guess.
Madison,
Yeah.
basically.
That sounds
But
like
is that like a neighborhood or is that a city? Because I don't know.
I mean, it's like a small city.
Yeah, it looks like
It's
a really small, tiny like fleck of a map that's like a part of. I think it was called the Dangle Shore or something, right on the water there.
Yeah.
There's some sort of lake or something.
our geography expert here, Kyle.
Yeah.
Kloof.
Well, I was trying to, get a feel for like
What that would be like.
It looked like
Yeah.
a little thingy on the map
a little
with some
tiny-
water.
Yeah, and there's
by
some
it.
water or something.
There's some
and-
water,
yeah.
fucking dongle,
It was
dongle
like
bay.
Titanic or something. I don't know.
No, but you think Madison, you think of a major city, but where they lived was pretty suburban, and it looked very close to Madison.
I wouldn't call Madison a major city
Oh,
in
really?
terms of what you think of.
It's a college city, really.
There's no skyscrapers.
Oh, okay.
It's not like Milwaukee. It's like a college town.
Yeah.
And it is very suburban.
Oh, okay. I mean, unlike most of our other subjects, especially recently with like Anne Heche and stuff, Charles Rocket, all these people, Chris actually had like a really good family and home life growing up. Very supportive parents. They just like to have a good time. They were always just like messing around at home.
So his dad didn't make him go put his hand on the
Put
wood
his thumb on a stump.
yeah.
No,
He didn't make him eat dinner at like gunpoint or anything.
Yeah,
or,
he-
like-
They weren't Christian scientists.
No, he didn't have a dad named Ham that threatened to cut his fingers off for sucking his thumb.
Oh man, Ham.
Yeah, fucking Ham Rocket. Fuck him. Shit list. Anyway,
shitless.
Clavery.
so his dad, Tom Sr., he owned an asphalt and oil company, which usually that would be, you would think like uptight, like businessman dad, like coming home
Working
being like,
class.
I need the leads.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just taking it out on his kids.
Yeah, he beats his kids with the lunch pail that he brought from the job and stuff. Like, he's so angry.
He beats his kid with the fucking John Lemon leads. Or Jack Lemon.
The Glengarry
The
lead.
Glengarry.
You call yourself a salesman, you son of a bitch?
There's no coffee in that house.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, his dad would actually come home and instead of being like a stressed out mess like most people's parents would be, he would just immediately get down on his hands and knees and start wrestling with everybody. Kevin Farley said that his dad would just love coming home and whipping all the kids into a frenzy,
Yeah.
just getting them nuts.
That's probably not, the mom probably hated that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Everything's
All these-
quiet until he comes
These
knocking.
big monster kids are just bouncing off the walls and shit.
And this was a big guy, the
Huge.
dad.
They were all big people.
Yeah, he was a massive human being, and that's what they said. That's why like his dad loved comedy, and so when they would watch, late night shows on TV, they would always be drawn to like the Jonathan Winters of the world. Like they loved big fat comedians because it all reminded them of their dad. So yeah, his dad would come home, throw them all around the house, and then would end up, the only time he would ever yell is when someone took it too far and like made the other one cry, and he'd just be like, "You took it too far."
We're having a good time.
Yeah. In high school, Chris was always a big kid growing up. A lot of big kids in school would get picked on, but he never would because he was always hilarious. Everyone always loved him. He was great at football. He played nose tackle, which if anybody listening does not know football, you're right on the defensive line, right in front of the guy who throws the ball between his legs on the offense.
Yeah.
So
you're going up against the center on the other side.
Yeah, you are trying to kill the quarterback every play. So you got to be big, you got to be strong, you got to be explosive to be able to play this.
And that was Chris.
Yeah, exactly. So he was good. He was an athlete, but he was also striving to make everybody laugh. And it was always in the back of his head that he wanted to, get on stage and try some stuff. So when he went to college, he went to Marquette, which I didn't know. I always thought he was a Badger. And
what's the Badgers?
Wisconsin.
Oh.
UW-Madison.
Yeah, I thought he went to Madison because it's right there. But he went to Marquette University in Milwaukee. And that's
because it's a Catholic school.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That was a popular school, too.
Marquette's huge. I mean, they're always they're not really a football school. He played rugby there. But basketball, they're always in the tournament.
But in terms of the experience, nothing compares to UW-Madison.
I would assume not, yeah.
I don't know why he didn't go there.
Especially if you're a football player.
Yeah.
He could go and just crush there.
Yeah, walk on or try out or whatever.
Yeah. When he went to Marquette, he double majored in theater and communications. And he was just absolutely crushing on stage.
So right away, he's just doubling down on that's a big shift for a working class kid.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden just to go, I'm not doing a business degree. I know exactly what I want to do and I'm just going to go for it 100%. And he didn't feel like a schmuck around his buddies, like his, bro buddies saying I want to be an actor.
It's so funny because he did play rugby when he was in college and he kept that dynamic of the sensitive tough guy. But one of his drama instructors said in an interview, he said most athletes would be scared to look like a pussy by going on stage and doing theater.
Yeah.
And he goes, Chris was tough, but Chris was also a pussy.
He was always a performer, too.
Yeah.
In, I believe it was high school, he pulled his dick out in computer class.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And then he got sent away. To a reform school?
To another school, yeah.
Yeah.
He went to multiple schools in high school and ended up graduating Edgewood High School of the Sacred Heart. He finally got pushed there and was like, all right, just graduate and get out of here.
Yeah.
And then finally at a summer camp, one of the activities was to put on a play. And he just shined in that play.
Yes.
So that's where it finally came together, setting the groundwork for college.
What his calling was.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he still got into college. He still got into Marquette with these discipline issues.
Antics, yeah. Just a hellraiser.
But it goes to show how much people liked him. So they probably didn't even write him up that much.
He probably just showed up to Marquette and was like, can I go to your school? and did a little show for them or something. They let him in.
Well, la-dee-da.
You think he's going to fill out all the application paperwork for it? Yeah.
That's very true. Charm goes a long way.
Oh, absolutely. So he had a lot of energy, like you just said. Being on stage didn't always just take care of it. He just was always ramped up. And
he needed more of an outlet.
Yeah. So, I mean, like anybody, college is where you go. Your drinking ramps up maybe a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Just what Chris Farley needed, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Wisconsin is very much like Boston as well, where it's you definitely start drinking at a younger age maybe than other places, I would assume.
I would say so.
Because I think the winter does that to people. It makes you have to sleep in, drink in cars. And me and my friends would just keep booze outside because it's cold out.
Yeah.
It's so you can stash it in a field or something rather than bring it back into your house or something.
The winter's terrible.
Yeah.
And everybody turns into a professional drinker.
It's a good way to deal with the cold and hide it. You can, if it's freezing out, cops won't even pull you over. They're not even going to give. It's too cold to deal with any of this shit.
I literally, I got pulled over going 110 miles an hour on the Mass Pike.
Yeah.
After doing shows in Worcester, and I was going back to Boston, which is 45-minute drive, and I'm just flying. And it's the coldest day of the year in Massachusetts, and the cop pulls me over and runs to my passenger side window. I put it down, and he goes, "Why the fuck are you going so fast?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm just trying to get home. I did a comedy show in Worcester, and I'm going back to home in Boston." And he just goes, "It's fucking freezing out here. Slow the fuck down."
And he just took off. He was like, "I'm not filling out all that paperwork outside." Yeah.
Oh, man.
So it's true.
It is.
So he ended up graduating and moved back to Madison, back to Maple Bluff. Big town, big
Sounds
city.
like such a nice suburban area, but also where a man like kills his whole family.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm so surprised. Like his dad had his shit together. So he ended up working for his dad while he was like figuring out, what to do after college. He graduated. It was 1986 when he graduated college. He still had the theater bug that bit him. So he showed up to Arc Improv in Madison. And when he showed up, a class was like getting let out. And he asked the instructor about classes. The teacher was like, hey, listen, classes are done for the day, but if you want to come back tomorrow, the next day was Saturday morning. He's like, my wife is doing a class and she'll be able to get you started.
Like a workshop or something?
Yeah. So the guy goes home, thinks nothing of it. And then the next morning, he's just chilling at home and he gets a call from his wife being like, did you tell some guy to show up to my class this morning? And he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, some bigger guy. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, I did. He's like, I didn't think he would actually show up. Why? What happened? And she was like, oh, thanks. He showed up with a case of beer for the whole class and just went crazy.
But imagine like your first time like doing improv. The first time I did it just with other people, you're just trying to be funny in front of. It's just a weird thing. And
yeah.
I'm sure he had tons of anxiety and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And that can manifest in different ways. Some people have to go to the bathroom. Some people clam up.
Yeah.
He probably just exploded.
Yeah, he just drinks and then just like screams and like, probably jumps up and down and stuff.
Fatty fall down.
Tommy one wingy.
It quickly became very clear to everyone that Chris was too talented to stay in Madison. So he decided to pack up his bags and go to the farm leagues for improv and sketch, which is Chicago, Illinois.
This reminds me of the trajectory of Robin Williams a little bit.
Yeah.
He was on another level compared to everyone else around him as a performer.
Absolutely. It's like, dude, at a certain point when you're like up with people who are just, either doing it as a hobby or are not nearly as talented, you're just like blowing them off the stage.
Yeah.
It's like, all right,
and
bro.
the people that came out of that Chicago era of time was like crazy, like Steve Carell, like, Colbert, like tons of people came out of that era. Who
It's
were just
unreal.
Like I think Conan was kicking around there then, and Jeff Garlin, and there was so many people that came out of that time in Chicago.
It's easier to name people that didn't come out of that.
Yeah,
time in
yeah.
Chicago.
Right? Yeah.
Not even just like Chicago, where a lot of people do come from, but that era also.
Yeah, people were moving there specifically for improv and sketch.
Mike Myers was there, I think, still.
He's coming right up.
Alrighty.
So Chris went to Chicago in 1987 and started performing at the Improv Olympic. Improv Olympic or Improv Olympics?
Olympic.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
No pluralization.
The place that took a lot of money from me very gleefully.
Me too. I did all 7 or 8, or they kept adding on levels, when I finished and stuff. But I worked there at Improv Olympic in L.A.
Oh, really?
And the thing about Improv Olympic, the name, is they can't call it that anymore because the Olympics sued them. So now they're I.O.
Oh!
And now they're actually all done also.
Is it done here too?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was done here way even before the pandemic because the artistic director got canceled. A guy who was actually on Chris Farley's first improv team.
Wow.
All
That's
comes full circle.
interesting.
Yeah. He now is a bartender.
Oh, that's the guy?
That's the guy.
He was on a team with Chris Farley?
Yes.
Oh, I've met this guy.
Yeah. I don't know how much we want to leave this in.
Wow. I'm shocked that guy was a part of a team with Chris Farley in Chicago.
Yeah, that guy, he went way back and he knew a ton of people. Like, there were pictures at I.O. before it closed that had all these old teams and pictures of like Matt Besser when they started with Adam McKay's team and stuff. And like, yeah, there's a lot of, there was a lot of history there at that Hollywood location, but it's no longer there, and I.O. is done as far as I know it because the owner, whatever her name was, I can't think of it right now, but
Sharna Halpern.
Sharna Halpern, yeah, who started with Del Close. She fucked up and like put way too much money in the Chicago location with like a beer garden, and then it all was in jeopardy, and now it's all gone.
When I was there, it was in the fun Wrigleyville location.
You say that.
Well, no, the
sarcastically.
location was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun to do improv and then go get beers.
Of course, yeah. That right across from Wrigley, there's some cool bar.
Yeah.
I've been there before.
I had a great time, but I also gave them a lot of money.
I know.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
That's improv, though.
I'm not Chris Farley.
No.
Not many of us are.
No.
Chris Farley isn't even Chris Farley anymore.
Whoa.
Okay.
God.
Spoiler alert, everybody.
Let's get back on track.
All
here.
right. All right. So he really started shining at Improv Olympic, and he started taking his, hobby and taking it to a professional level where he was ready for, actually making this his career. He was invited over to Second City to join their touring group, and he started the same exact day as fellow comedic actor Stephen Colbert.
Wow, okay.
First day together, they were both there at the same time. And he quickly rose up the ranks over there. He became a part of 3 teams, and it's hard enough just to make one, but everyone loved having him around.
Well, that's where you make the money, because Second City actually has money to pay people, whereas you take IO classes until you're, dead and you don't make a dime. But if you go to Second City, you get like their touring, like they do cruises and stuff.
Yeah.
They'll fly you down to Florida and do a cruise.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bleed over.
That go back
Working
and
with
forth.
IO and then also Second City.
Yeah, and Del Close had started Second City with the people that started that, I think, and then he.
I believe IO was a branch off of Second City.
Yes, that's
Oh,
correct.
really?
And Del Close.
And Del
started
Close,
that.
yeah.
And then his lover or madam, whatever you call her, Sharna Halpern.
Yeah, his
She
friend
took it
yeah.
over when he died.
She did, yeah.
Oof.
And she screwed it up.
And she really messed it up. I'm
Yes.
reading here about the fella that I met before. I didn't realize he was the former artistic director of IO.
Yep.
And he was let go in 2016 amidst allegations of sexual harassment. Halpern said that she never received any complaints about him, and 1 million people from IO said, "We told you about this 1,000,000 times."
Yeah.
What a creep.
That was
Yeah.
a crazy thing that
Both
happened.
of them.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Well, I think people said that they could have had something together. I don't want to overly speculate about these things because this is a person I see sometimes.
Oh, fuck. Well, Halpern... Oh, shit. Should I not even talk about this?
Do it.
Halpern said in a later deleted Facebook post, the complaints never happened, saying, "There are times when there are women who just like to either cause trouble or get revenge or just want attention, so they make up stories."
Oh, my lordy.
Them
lord.
some fighting words.
I can say, as someone who worked as the manager there, that there was some creepiness going on there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I was a house manager.
Whew.
And not some bad stories went on, but for the most part, it was positive.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So Stephen Colbert starts the same day as Farley at
Yeah.
Second City.
Yes.
And this would have been around 1988 or something?
87, 88. Yep.
Okay.
And so everyone loved having him around. He would just be screaming and falling over, doing classic Chris Farley stuff, but also doing classic bits like whipping his dick out that we already talked about.
Oh, that's like one of his go-to things.
This time not in a computer class.
Yeah. Literally, he would be like in the wings waiting to get his cue to like go on for a sketch and just have his dick out so that the other actors could see on stage.
Oh,
and they
nice.
would be like, "Fucking dude, like you're about to come on stage. Like you're going to show the crowd your dick." And then as soon as they hit their line that he needs to come out on, he would just zip it up and run out like nothing happened.
Wow.
And you said mooning as well.
And mooning too, yeah. Like there would be times he'd have his pants down completely at his ankles. And they're about to hit the line where he's coming on, and then he'd just fucking rip him right up and put him on and run out.
And the thing about Chris Farley is that on paper, this sounds like obnoxious behavior.
Yeah.
But because it's Chris Farley, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm like, this is stuff that would get you canceled now. But back then, it's just like, oh, it's Chris.
Yeah.
I think I saw an improv team one time. They were pulling their pants down before they were about to go, like the lights were about to go up.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, what is that all about? And I think it was like a thing they did with each other just to get psych each other up.
Some of the improv freaks get a little
Yeah, they get some weird
schmeardo
things, yeah.
when it comes to the craft.
Kind of culty and weird stuff.
So from 1987 to 1990, all he did was drink and hone his craft. He would team up with comedian, actor, and writer Bob Odenkirk.
Wow.
Better Call Saul.
Yeah, to work on sketches and characters in Chicago. One of the characters that Chris came up with was Matt Foley, the motivational speaker. And that's actually a Farley Odenkirk creation. And I had no idea that Matt Foley was a real guy that Chris knew. Yeah, he's a priest now.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. He was one of Chris's childhood friends. And he's still doing masses in Wisconsin as we speak.
So Bob Odenkirk had this character that Chris mentioned, and then he helped craft it into the 3-minute, legendary sketch that it is today.
Yeah.
Also to note about Chris is that he didn't write.
Exactly.
Fully relied on other people to come up with the sketches for him.
Yeah.
So Bob Odenkirk really is the one that came up with the overall concept.
Yeah.
He was such an angry writer back then, Bob Odenkirk.
Odenkirk?
He admits it, like he was a fucking asshole.
Really?
Oh, he was awful. Even David Cross would say that. Like David Cross and him did Mr. Show together. Yeah, he'd be like he was just kind of but people kept him around because he kept the room honest and he was like a good filter. He would like smack down anything he thought was really that bad.
Really?
Yeah.
So he was like a comedy, like elitist almost, and
kind of
was aggressive about it.
I think so. Yeah, and he was kind of a shitbag.
I think he just was climbing the ladder and he was kind of fed up where it was taking him.
I heard him say like he hated Lorne Michaels, but in retrospect, he just didn't like him because he was the boss. Like it was just such a dumb young inclination to out of nowhere. Just doesn't mean anything.
He wanted to get where he's at now the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, he was writing for SNL like at a pretty young age. Like I wouldn't be crying for this guy. He did pretty well for himself.
Not at all.
Even before he became an action star.
And that being an
Which
action
we all
star.
went to.
We did.
Yeah, nobody.
Yep.
Yeah, nobody.
And it gave him a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better call Saul gave him a heart attack.
So maybe he should not do action movies.
But he wants to do more. He wants to do a sequel to that, I think.
He actually credited Chris for him wanting to become a dramatic actor.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't want to just like do full-time comedy.
Which I would have loved to see Chris in a dramatic role.
Yeah.
Tommy Boy has
so
hints of drama.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? Like
there's some
Paul
touching
Thomas
moments.
Anderson probably would have put him in something.
Like he did with Adam Sandler. Yeah.
One other note about Bob Odenkirk, he said that his daughter once asked him, "What's the best thing you've done in show business?" And then Odenkirk said, "Me and Chris Farley on the stage doing motivational speaker. Nothing even comes close."
Yeah.
Wow.
They did it at Second City. Yeah.
Yep. So one of Chris's friends from Second City, a fellow by the name of Mike Myers.
Whoa.
Shooing.
Hello. He was featured as a featured player on SNL in 1989. And when he got there, Lorne asked him, "Who should we consider for the show?" And he immediately said Chris Farley. He gave him a bunch of names, but Chris was the first and the loudest. Like, you need to get this guy.
Stephen Colbert, Steve Carell, Chris Farley.
Yeah. The following year in 1990, Chris was officially called up to the big leagues. Live from New York. It's Saturday night.
Oh, wow.
He had actually never been to New York City until he got cast on SNL. So he's like this small town kid that's just like...
He's really that Tommy Boy. He's got like his suitcase is basically a trash bag that's like taped up. I'm looking for SNL.
Yeah, he's got like the handkerchief
right
on
off
stick.
the bus. Yeah. He's got the stick and bindle.
So the 1990-91 cast is phenomenal. It's Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks, Victoria Jackson, Dennis Miller,
Hey, babe.
Mike Myers, Kevin Nealon, Chris Farley, Tim Meadows, Chris Rock, Julia Sweeney, A. Whitney Brown, Al Franken,
Oh, my God.
Adam Sandler,
Wow. This list.
Rob Schneider, and David Spade.
Now that's a cast.
That's a fucking cast. The 1990 to 1991 season was a year of transition, if you will, because John Lovitz and Nora Dunn left the show after the previous season.
Two big names on the show at that
giant
point.
names on the show.
Yeah.
Because they got into a huge controversy at the end of the 1989-1990 season. The controversy, if you don't remember, at the end of the 89-90 season, Andrew Dice Clay was scheduled to perform and host the second to last episode.
Oh!
Ace-hole!
Little Miss Muffet sat on the top of it. Hey!
I'm hosting over here.
Hey! So
Nice tits, Nora.
Yeah, probably.
Nora Dunn told people on the cast that she didn't want to perform if Dice was actually going to be hosting because he's a homophobe and a misogynist. And John Lovitz was like, huh? He's like, it's a character. It's not to be taken seriously. He's a fucking buffoon. Like, it's a complete character. It's not a real person.
Yeah.
He's like, I know Andrew. He's a very nice guy.
John Lovitz is saying this?
Yeah.
He sounds very grounded for
Yeah,
John
he does.
Lovitz. I know this guy.
Yeah.
Stinks. So when Dice arrives to meet the cast, Nora isn't there. She's actually across the street doing press for Comic Relief. And word got to Dice that she didn't want to do the show with him. So Dice straight up asked the cast, he goes, is there anyone here that does not want to work with me this week? It's okay. Like, if you want to go, you can go.
Yeah.
I get it. And the whole cast was like, of course not. We're here to work. Like, Nora's going to be here too. She's just doing press. Little did they know that she was across the street literally saying to the press, that she will not be at the show because she believes in women and gay rights. And if anyone has a spine, they wouldn't be working on this show.
Oh, man. That is fucking
That's
harsh.
the part that I don't agree with. It's fine to say your opinion, but she definitely put all the cast members in a bad position.
She threw everyone under the bus and they had no idea.
That's not fair.
No, not fair at all.
Al Franken did that, I think, a few years later or around this time. He went to the press and said, Saturday Night Live stinks now. It sucks. Like,
Because he didn't get Weekend Update.
Yeah, he was bitter.
He was vying for Weekend Update.
Yeah, and Norm Macdonald got it. Norm Macdonald made fun of him or something because Al Franken did some big letter to all the staff and production of SNL.
And at the tail end, his Stuart Smalley movie bombed.
Yeah.
So he was not in a
He's
good
taking
mood.
it out on the world.
And they say, I think Victoria Jackson said that Nora Dunn kind of got the feeling she wasn't going to be asked back. So she was trying to create a little press.
She was press bombing to try to like gain some attention before she went off and did her own thing.
A lot of people do stuff like that these days. You know,
It's a desperate move.
But it's probably smart. I don't know. Victoria Jackson, though, I don't know if she's a reliable source. She's kind of kooky.
She is pretty kooky.
Jesus freak.
Yeah.
And QAnon frontman.
She's a QAnon person.
All of the above.
Victoria Jackson.
Take
But
it
I
with
still
grain
have
of
a
salt.
soft spot for her.
Oh, okay. No follow-up questions to that.
She was brilliant in the SNL 80s sketches. She was in Toonces the Cat, the Choppin' Broccoli. She was in a lot of classics.
She played a great Hillary
Roseanne,
Clinton.
Hillary. Oh, she did Hillary too?
I think so.
Roseanne. I think Jan Hooks did Hillary.
Maybe you're right. But when she left, they still needed a Hillary.
Probably so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The cast was furious when they found out that she threw them all under the bus. She made it look like they didn't care about women or gay people. So she missed that episode. She did not show up for the week, did not show up
Breach
for
of
the
contract.
show.
this is the season finale, right?
No, this is the second to last.
Oh, it is.
So she comes back for the season finale. Not one person speaks to her the whole time. And she was canned right after that.
Holy shit.
Gone.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when she came back for the finale, everyone was like, fuck you. Nobody talked to her, and she left and never talked to like any of them again.
Different scenario, but that's kind of reminds me of Larry David. He quit SNL as a writer there, and then he tried to come back on Monday. They did it and see if anyone would notice, but they did a Seinfeld with that story.
Oh, that's
George
hilarious.
does that.
Yeah, that's a famous story. And by the way, as a side note, Andrew Dice Clay was a team player, and it's actually a very funny episode.
He wasn't banned for life, like
Not at all.
but he was from MTV.
From
though.
MTV.
MTV,
which
was.
is surprising because you would think that he would be banned by SNL before MTV because MTV is his crowd.
The thing about SNL is they want to be the rebels too. They want to shake things up just enough. For instance, when Sinead O'Connor ripped the picture of the Pope, Lorne actually respected the guts it took to do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But he still had to,
But he was still
act.
pissed off at Elvis Costello for playing Radio when he didn't want him to play that or something.
Well,
he was
that's
giving him
just
the
ego,
finger.
yeah.
It probably. I don't know.
So after that finale, Lovitz leaves, Nora Dunn is not asked back, and Lorne needs new blood for the show. So he introduced a number of team players who quickly became stars. Chris Farley, Tim Meadows, Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider, David Spade, and Julia Sweeney.
So the Happy Madison crew.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
They all have instant hits with characters. Julia Sweeney's everybody's favorite androgynous person, Pat.
Yeah, oh boy.
Charles Rocket was in the movie version.
Yep. Kyle.
Playing
was his
Kyle,
name.
the
Yeah,
neighbor.
the villain. Yep.
Oh, awful name.
Adam Sandler played Opera Man.
George Carlin agrees with you.
Have you met Todd?
Do you know Kyle?
I'm Kyle.
Hi, I'm Kyle. Chris is Matt Foley and the Chippendales dancer.
That was one of his early sketches.
I know. I'm going to get into that in a
Okay.
second. Rob Schneider's Making Copies, the annoying office guy. David Spade did Hollywood Minute, and Chris Rock had The Dark Side with Nat X, which were all huge characters and sketches for the show. Immediately. So the whole Chippendales thing, I didn't realize it was his first season, and early in his first season when that actually happened with Patrick Swayze.
I believe his 4th episode.
Yeah. He actually was really torn about doing it. And a lot of people like Sandler and Chris Rock still don't forgive a
Lorne
lot of
Michaels,
people who pushed that through.
What
Bob
through?
Odenkirk said something about it
And
too.
Bob too, yeah.
And Chris
What?
Rock was on Howard Stern talking about it.
The line at the end of the sketch.
No, just the fact that his flabbiness was the joke, the butt of the joke.
And then the button on it is, no, you're a fat slob. Why would you ever think that you would get this job?
Yeah.
That's what's called an unnecessary add-on to a sketch.
Right.
It was funny.
They should have just let Chris win.
He dances in it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And at the end of the sketch, that's when the judges, it's like hammering you on the head with the point. Like, if you didn't get it, we know he's fat and we're going to call attention to it.
Yeah. So he was calling people. He called like Dan Aykroyd and Tom Arnold to be like, should I even do this sketch? Like, it's just relying on me being fat and dancing with no shirt on, and then they call me fat at the end, and everyone was like, you do what you got to do, but Tom Arnold was like, of course you got to do it.
I like how his brain trust is Dan Aykroyd and Tom Arnold.
Let me get
two of the craziest people.
Let me get some sound advice from Tom Arnold, who's fucking married to Roseanne,
who's fucking
I think they're both autistic too.
Yeah.
And the guy who believes in aliens.
In ghosts and aliens. Yeah. Fucking maniac.
The guy that made Nothing But Trouble.
And
Let me see what he has to say.
I hope he gave him advice as Ray Zelinsky from Tommy Boy.
Tom Arnold said specifically, go out and be the funniest fat guy ever.
Yes, exactly. And he did.
He sure did.
Yeah. They said that was the first sketch that they saw, and like the SNL cast and writers were like, oh my God, this guy's going to be a star. So it did help him in the long run.
That was everywhere in the 90s, that sketch.
Yeah.
It was on every best of tape, special. It was like the centerpiece of the early 90s SNL.
Yeah. He was crazy, but I heard in the book Truth and Comedy, for IO students, basically, they give this out to anyone that takes the
I
class.
do have that book.
You have a copy?
Yeah.
Well, in it, Chris's first coach was Del Close, actually. And Del Close is like, man, you are just like a wild animal. Like, you're the thing that we put on the front of boats, you know? Because you're just such a... And you just he had to rein in kind of that energy a little bit.
And this is Del Close saying that, who's also a maniac.
Crackhead maniac, yeah. So, yeah, he's taking advice from the most insane people in the world.
Yeah. So Chris Rock actually did say, he said, I always hated that sketch. The joke of it basically is, we can't hire you because you're fat.
Yeah.
He's like, I mean, he's a fat guy, and you're going to ask him to dance with no shirt on. Okay, that's enough. You're going to get that laugh. But when he stops dancing, you have to turn it in his favor. There's no turn there. There's no comic twist to it. It's just fucking mean. A more mentally together Chris Farley wouldn't have done it, but Chris wanted to be liked. It was a weird moment in Chris's life, and as funny as that sketch was, and as many accolades as he got for it, it's one of the things that killed him. It really is. Something happened right then.
Oh, wow.
That is
deep.
so dramatic about it.
So dramatic.
Yeah.
It also launched him.
Yeah, but he was concerned about, he's a very sensitive guy. That's a thing that like comes out about him, is that, he is worried about his image, and he thinks he's like some big dumb idiot that people just laugh at instead of laugh with.
Well, I'll give you some context to see like what his thought process was. He's coming into a situation where people are getting fired left and right from SNL. Like an article had recently come out about like, is SNL done? I think it was a New York Times piece or something, or New Yorker. And like people come and go. You don't really feel comfortable there until you're like 3 years in. Mm-hmm. So he was like, if I don't do this, I'm that guy that doesn't do stuff.
Yeah.
Here's how it goes though. That sketch, there's a moment before they go back out to face the judges where Patrick Swayze and him are talking backstage, and they're both complimenting each other.
Yeah.
And Swayze's like, no way I won, man. You killed it. And the sketch is brilliant up until that point. And that's a wonderful, sweet kind of backstage banter. Then they go out and the judges say the unnecessary, sorry, we're going to hire the guy that's fit.
Yeah.
Because without that last line, it actually proves a good point. The more dynamic performer is Chris Farley.
Yeah.
And he's more entertaining.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they think that it really like went into his psyche that, this is what he's here for. He's someone to be laughed at. It really made him depressed is what, Chris Rock takes from it. And also Bob Odenkirk and a few other people that were there at the time.
Well, because Belushi, he was known as the bigger guy, but he wasn't just like the fat dude. I don't know. He was kind of like that wild party animal that, does something and it's so funny.
And women liked both of them. They found both of them sexy because of their personality.
Their oeuvre.
It really transcends how big physically they were.
Yeah.
So
Adam Sandler said in his documentary that it was really cool to see when Chris started making money, because he went from being like this dude that was just in jeans and like a flannel top to like a guy that wore suits and sunglasses and like slicked his hair back.
Yeah.
He started looking crazier though. Like
After meeting Christian Slater.
Yes, that's exactly.
wait, that was it?
Yeah.
So-
hey, man, you got to slick your hair back.
Yeah, so he started like wetting his hair and slicking it
Yeah,
back
he
after
did.
meeting Christian Slater.
And David
like,
Spade-
Christian Slater's awesome.
Spade is like, what the fuck? He sees Farley with the slick hair.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Star of Broken Arrow changed his life.
They weren't
His hairstyle.
They weren't in a movie together, so I'm like, where did they cross
SNL.
paths?
SNL.
Oh, just SNL.
Yeah, he was
Okay.
hosting.
Wow.
Yep.
They really took him under his wing really that 1 week.
He did. So his time at SNL was like everything came together perfectly for the rest of his career, because he got matched up with David Spade, because at SNL they always will take two cast members and they'll put you together,
team 'em.
throw you in an office and say, you two come up with stuff together, figure it out. And so Chris Farley and David Spade were in the same office, and then Chris Rock and Adam Sandler were in another office, but they had to walk through theirs to get to theirs. So like the door would be open, it would just be all four of them just fucking hanging out.
Crazy party.
Yeah.
Well, David Spade came on as a writer first, right? He didn't get a featured spot like the rest of these dudes were, I think.
I'm not sure.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think David Spade had to like really fight his way into that cast,
Yeah.
basically.
You're right. He did have to ease his way in.
Yeah, because he was like a really smart stand-up, and I think he had to like he didn't have like the chops that Chris Farley had.
Yeah, he had a long climb to get to
Yeah,
SNL.
and he discusses like it's cutthroat, and he's like, it was really every day you just had to really be on your shit, or else someone's gonna take your spot, or someone's gonna get sketches in front of you. And I didn't know how hard, like how competitive it was. And like
Yeah.
Mike Myers, he's like, I'm this nice, funny guy, but he was like the most competitive guy in the world with all
They're
that
all
shit.
super cutthroat. So the show's ratings started coming back up, and all these cast members are taken off together. They all have like star power. Mike Myers and Dana Carvey have Wayne's World. It becomes a movie, and
Shoo-wing.
it's its own phenomenon. And they put Chris in it. So that's his first movie. And Mike really loved Chris, but saw what success started doing to him, and said he went from loving him to fearing him.
Oh my god.
Cocaine and booze just like started affecting everything about him.
That's so opposite of Mike Myers.
Yeah. But he told him, he's like, dude, you need to stop. And so there were people along the way at SNL being like, you need to get off the coke. You need to stop drinking so much.
Yeah.
Just, take it easy and work.
Might I add that some of his depressive tendencies might have a little to do with the fact that he was drunk and on drugs all the time.
Yeah.
And then in order to get ready for performances, he'd drink like fucking 8 gallons of like cappuccino or espresso.
And like a bottle of Jack Daniels or something.
Yeah.
Because he'd be slurring and they'd be like, oh my God, like how are we going to get him ready for rehearsals? And then he'd go out and be fine.
And I never thought I'd quote Tom Arnold so often, but he also said, Chris, man, you can't be fat and on drugs.
One or the other.
One or the other.
Who's he talking to? Again, I will say it on this podcast. Look into a mirror sometime.
Yeah.
Tom Arnold.
Marco, he's keeping everybody honest.
Yeah, exactly. So Bernie Brillstein actually represented Chris at the time. So Bernie Brillstein and Lorne Michaels both sent Chris to rehab multiple times for alcohol and cocaine abuse. And that's how talented and popular Chris was. These guys are paying out of pocket themselves to get him better.
In the middle of his SNL run.
Yeah. So like a lot of times if you're too much for people to handle, like you're fucking not working as hard as you should, you're gone. But for Chris, they actually tried. They had an intervention for him at SNL, and a lot of people backstage were just like, dude, you need to like get your life together. We love you. We care about you. David Spade really said, like, we saw him drinking, but everyone was drinking, so who cares? It was only like when it really started to ramp up that there was a problem.
Yeah.
Chris would want to go out after like rehearsals or writing sessions or the actual show to be like, let's get fucked up. Let's go.
Yeah.
And remember, he wasn't a writer.
Right.
They all were locking themselves in, like, we got to write some shit.
Yeah,
Yes.
that Monday through Thursday run through of that show is like hell. And Chris just shows up like, he just reads his lines and does amazing, but he doesn't have to go through that process of doing pitches and touch-ups and
Yeah.
retrying it and stuff. He just reads it, which is that's the where you want
That's
to be.
his skill, yeah.
And Chris looked at David Spade as his best friend, so he's like, "We're gonna drink together. We're gonna do whatever I want to do, but you're gonna come with me."
Yeah.
It's amazing how much Tommy Boy is pretty much a documentary.
Dude, there's even more than you think about that movie.
Okay, I can't wait to.
I can't wait to get into it. Yeah.
They'd be walking down the street in New York City together, and strangers would be outside of a bar being like, "Holy shit, David Spade, Chris Farley, come and drink with us." And Dave would be like, "No, I'm good." And Chris would be like, "Okay," and just go in with them. And he said it was awkward for him because like now he needs to go drink with strangers because Chris wants to.
Yeah.
And he goes, but it was also awkward for the people who asked him because they were just saying it kind of half-heartedly as a joke. But then he did go in with them and drank, and it's kind of like, well, what now?
I love the people that call you out and then they go, "I got to stay with you tonight," and you're living with this person for like a month.
Exactly.
Because everyone's afraid to be polite.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Tim Meadows even said in Chicago, everybody socialized and drank. It was just part of Chicago. And in New York, he made more money and the drugs got harder. That was the difference.
Wow.
Fellow cast member Melanie Hutzel said that one time she was on an elevator and it opens up and Chris is standing there. His eyes are bugging out. His hair's all messed up. He's sweating, clearly having a bad reaction to drugs.
Yeah.
And so then she's like, fuck, I gotta hide him. I don't want like the higher ups to see him. So she's like, let's go up and put him in one of the writers' rooms. They go up, what is it, Studio 8H, whatever floor that is.
Yeah.
The door opens, there's a bunch of executives, a bunch of people. She's like, fuck, let's go back down. They shut the door. They go down, the door opens, it's Lorne Michaels. And Chris Farley is like, I'm sorry, Lorne, don't fire me. I fucked up. And then Lorne just took him in his arms and he's like, all right, Chris, let's get you some help.
Yeah.
It's funny because David Spade would always have to deal with shit like this. And I guess there was some big dinner with Steve Martin, Martin Short, every legend in the industry was there, including like executives and just like very important people. And David Spade looked at Chris Farley and was like, I got to get this guy out of here. He was to the point that he was so fucked up.
Yeah.
It was like bizarre to have him around there. So he kind of like snuck him out the back of this dinner and stuff because they were all facing each other and they were going to be there for hours.
It's
and
not
David Spade,
appropriate.
he's like, this is going to go.
Yeah,
it wasn't appropriate at all.
So even Kevin Nealon said, I remember seeing him starting to get more sweaty in sketches and his moods would change. When he first showed up, he was that lovable guy. And then you started to see sides of him that were a little more irritated and more impatient. Tom Davis was the writer. I think he's one of the guys who came up with the actual character of Chris Farley for the Chris Farley Show. He saw this more sensitive, awkward side to him and was like, oh, we're running with this.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And Tom Davis says of himself, because he started the intervention, and he goes, and when Tom Davis is the one doing the intervention for you, that's when you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because apparently he was like a big fucking booze hound too.
Oh, yeah.
And he used to be a comedy team with Al Franken in the first go around of SNL.
Oh,
okay.
shit.
So, there was a lot going on. He was getting shipped out and he was making himself an easy target for being fired because, like we said, he didn't write. So he was just like going on stage. And if you're not bringing that 100% and you're the guy that's causing, some bad press to leak through about your troubles backstage and all that stuff, you're making it easy for them to cut you.
The problem with that week is it's so jam-packed and there's no patience or no time for people fucking up the system.
Yeah.
Because they have to get it all done and they're staying up until 2 a.m. every night doing this show Monday through Thursday or whatever they do.
Yeah.
So that would piss me off if a guy like that, as talented as he was like fucking shit up.
And one time he tried to write something to fit in.
Yeah.
And
it was a 14-page sketch called Puppy Lawyer.
arf, arf.
And they said it was one of the worst things that anyone's ever written.
But they actually read it at read through.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And the look on everyone's face is like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But everyone past, present, and future at SNL genuinely loved Chris. He was asked to be in every SNL alum production from Wayne's World 1 and 2, Billy Madison, Airheads, Coneheads, and then later in Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, yes.
So that's all in just like a what, a 6-year span, a 5-year span in the 90s. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good start. Really funny in all those supporting roles.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Conehead,
yes.
He's like a romantic lead.
Yes.
in it.
Yeah.
Airheads.
Oh, he's the cop in Airheads. That's
Yeah.
right. He gets his nose bit off.
No,
That's dirty work.
No.
That's a Saigon whore who bit my nose off.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he's like, "We're getting hitched."
Yeah.
And Norm's like, "Isn't that the Saigon whore that bit your nose off?"
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like the best at doing those bit parts.
By the
So
way,
good.
that was a posthumous appearance.
It
in
was
Dirty
it was
Work.
1998.
Oh.
Jumping the gun a little bit.
Wait, he died?
Hey,
Hey.
there's Kyle's
Spoil
dryness.
the lead.
Get some water for this kid.
Yeah. All right. So Farley and Sandler were both fired at the end of the season in 1995.
It was a bloodbath.
Yeah, it was Sandler also.
Yeah, there was
the
a lot
whole
of people.
cast was gone.
Yeah.
Besides Spade, who was like the high school guy that's hanging out in the hometown a little too long.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure with Spade, same thing with Fred Armisen. He's just really good at like bringing some energy into the writer's room, which I think you kind of need. And maybe that's what kept those guys around. 'Cause
Yeah.
Fred Armisen was on SNL for like fucking ever.
Mike Myers said of like getting fired for Chris, it's like he was almost happy that he got fired because he started to do more movies and stuff. And he's like, when you start doing movies, doing SNL makes no sense. And it's not because you're too big or whatever. He's like, when you start doing movies, people will see those 2 hours and love you for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
He goes, if you have a killer show on Saturday, people forget by Monday.
I don't know. That's debatable. Some of the sketches are just so fucking legendary,
Yeah.
though, that are like, it's life changing into itself. But yeah, I don't know. Because Chris Farley, because Tommy Boy is amazing.
Yeah.
And
So-
let's put it into context. Tommy Boy came out in February 1995, and 94-95 was Chris's last season. So, unlike a lot of other people, he was in a great position because Tommy Boy was a financial hit.
Yeah.
So,
Not at first.
it made money at first. Yeah,
Not at first.
Critics
Critics
destroyed
crushed
it. But no, it made some money, Kyle.
But all those SNL
For
movies
me,
are
I saw
crap.
it in the fucking theater. As
I
a
did
kid,
too.
and I loved it.
In Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.
In Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, in the biggest theater at the Retlaw. It was so beautiful.
Yes.
I swear it was a hit.
It did make money.
So that's a good position to be in
Yeah.
as you're leaving SNL.
But I feel like someone like Chris Farley, he needs that regimen. As fucked up as he was bad at it, he needs like some schedule.
structure.
Structure. Yeah, like when he was playing sports and stuff in college. I'm sure that's what kept him on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. So it's like he gets fired, but also his first big movie comes out, Tommy Boy. No problem. I'm fucking going Hollywood, baby.
Yeah.
Because on the flip side, when Lovitz left, it actually was kind of like a scheduling thing. Why he wasn't brought back, because he was doing this movie called Mom and Dad Save the World.
Oh, what?
And he thought
With Terry
was,
Garr.
Yeah, he thought it was going to be a big hit.
Oh my
It ended
God.
up getting shelved
It
and released years
stinks.
later.
Yeah.
And he had no like
No
movie
backup.
career
Yeah.
to fall back on, so he had to like do these bit parts and
Oh, the
and
wedding
then-
singer.
And he would like go and guest on SNL here and there as an appearance, and then Lorne took a shot at him in one episode, making fun of him for not leaving.
Oh,
And then Lovitz was pissed.
Oh, really?
So it could be worse for Chris Farley, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
He had a big hit movie, which he was the star of.
Yeah.
Can't beat it.
but it was not as well received as you think it is. And as we're talking about
No, but throughout the 90s, Sandler would release all these movies, Happy Gilmore,
That wasn't
these
well
guys.
received either.
Yeah, none of them were. No
By the-
SNL movie was received.
By the
maybe
critics.
except for Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, everybody loved, including Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
But it stops there.
Do you know
Yeah.
who hated Tommy Boy?
Who?
Roger Ebert.
Of course.
1 star.
Ugh.
Tommy Boy is one of those movies that plays like an explosion down at the screenplay factory. You can almost picture a bewildered office boy, his face smudged with soot, wandering through the ruins and rescuing pages at random. Too bad they didn't mail them to the insurance company instead of filming them.
I do like how he would just go
Wow.
cold.
It is scorched earth.
He went ham on it.
Yeah, he went fucking.
He went Charles Rocket's dad
He
on
went
that.
daddy ham on this shit.
Ouch.
He said the movie is an assembly of cliches and obligatory scenes from dozens of other movies, all that are better. It is only one original idea, and that's a bad one. the inspiration of making the hero's sidekick into simultaneously his buddy, his critic, and his rival. It's like the part was written by 3 writers locked in 3 separate rooms. And he just goes on to trash it.
I'm getting lost in this review. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on.
And that was kind compared to the Black Sheep review.
Oh, well, yeah.
Gene Siskel said that Black Sheep is the first movie he's ever walked out on.
Well, I mean, Black Sheep, we're going to get into that in a second. But the very end of this is one of the worst Ebert reviews of all time.
But since then, the Brown Bunny was actually worse. But I don't want to get in front of you there.
He says, no one is funny in Tommy Boy. There are no memorable lines.
What? That's bullshit.
None of the characters are interesting, except for the enigmatic figure played by Rob Lowe, who seems to have wandered over from Hamlet.
What?
Judging by the evidence on screen, the movie got a green light before a usable screenplay had been prepared, with everybody reassuring each other that since they were funny people, inspiration would overcome them. It was Forrest Gump, I believe, who said, "Funny is as funny does."
Look, Ebert was not always correct.
Yeah.
And this time he took everything way too literally. What's important in Tommy Boy is the persona, the feel. It has a really cool Midwestern vibe to it.
Yeah.
And it's really earnest.
That movie was Chris Farley and his dad.
Yeah, it's really authentic.
And
His
Brian
dad-
Brian Dent, he was amazing.
Yeah,
in
it's
that.
And Bo
touching.
Derek. Like,
Yeah.
you got so many good people in this movie.
The 10 reference that you didn't get, remember? When he's like, wow, Dad, she's like a 10.
Oh, yeah.
Because she starred in 10.
Yeah.
Yes. His dad's name is Tom.
Big Tommy Callahan.
Yes. Chris's bloodline is all people in the automotive industry. It's fucking his uncle or grandfather was like an executive at Ford, and then it just keeps going down the line.
Yeah.
This movie was made specifically for him, and it had so much of him in it. He was so excited for it. When he went to the premiere, he was like, this is a great movie. I can't wait for people to see it. And then he reads that
Yeah.
and really got depressed. Was like, wow, I can't even believe that the favorite thing I've ever done in my life that means so much to me is just getting trashed by Roger Ebert.
Movie premieres are keyed up like that. But remember when David Axelrod, David Strickland, rather?
You always say David
I
Axelrod.
know. He was cut out of the entire movie. That is his first big major motion picture. So
Yeah.
at least Chris Farley wasn't cut out of it.
He should have been happy he was cut out of that piece of shit.
Yeah.
Forces of nature.
But also the VHS sales for Tommy Boy like exploded.
Instant classic.
Yeah.
And it included a lot of the bits he would do in real life, like fat guy in
In
a little coat.
Yeah.
He would do that in the office at SNL. And David Spade would be like, put my fucking jacket down. You're going to rip it. You're going to rip it.
Yeah.
Like, fat guy in a little coat.
That dynamic between him and David Spade is just amazing. It's like a legendary two-man show.
It's a good pairing.
Yeah.
The cynicism of David Spade.
Yeah.
And then the aw shucks earnestness of Chris Farley.
Yeah. So this movie gets trashed by critics everywhere. And Chris was heartbroken. He thought the movie was great, and he was right. After he died, Time Magazine, I believe in 2000, came out with the top 10 comedies of all time. And it was in the top 10.
Ebert was wrong, and sometimes he knew he was wrong. And this is definitely one of those times.
Yeah.
No, because
Very wrong.
What do you mean he knew he was wrong?
well, there's other examples where, for instance, he hated Kids in the Hall Brain Candy, which is a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
And Siskel called him out. He's like, what the hell's wrong with you? This was a funny movie. And then in 1999, we're right off the heels of the Mary Kay Bergman episode.
Yeah.
He gave a negative review to South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Wow.
And then later that summer, when he was reviewing a different movie that he thought was bad, he's like, the more I think about it, I was wrong about the South Park movie.
Well, these dudes are just bitter.
I didn't have the right attitude that day.
They're bitterly angry dudes that just comedies never get the respect that
I was
they
going to
should.
say, this is the disrespect that the film industry at large has
the
towards
disdain for comedies.
comedy. It's
It's
like,
totally correct, because another movie they fucking trashed was Home Alone.
oh my God.
And they had to do an entire episode saying...
retracting.
saying like, gee, what did we get wrong about Home Alone? Because it was such a fucking sensation.
Yeah. And they had no idea. They just didn't see it.
They didn't see it.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Well, they're also just like a couple of curmudgeonly fucking ass. Well, rest in peace. But they were, though. They were just kind of like jaded and angry.
I don't agree with that because they got a lot of things right, and they were champions of a lot of other.
But
good
hit
movies.
comedies, it's hard to tell because by the numbers, it seems like a cliche unless it all works.
The other thing where they really have no credibility with 90s comedies, they trashed Sandler's movies, of course.
Yep.
Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore.
They destroyed his movies.
Listen
They
to
just
this.
didn't get it.
Then in the review of Bulletproof, Ebert's like, actually, this is the first time I've liked Adam Sandler in a movie. It's like, you're fucking insane because this is one of his shittier movies.
Well, it's like the official just a makeup call, but it's the worst call ever.
So anyway, love Siskel and Ebert, but do not trust them on 90s comedies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It makes 8, 16, 24. It makes 4 times the budget. It was an $8 million budget. It ended up making $32 million in
That's
the
a
box
hit.
office. Yes, but then made even more. It made a lot of
And
money.
they
in
used to
VHS
make
sales.
so much money on VHS,
And
like
rentals,
Blockbuster
yeah.
and rentals.
Huge.
That's what Matt Damon says. They don't make movies like that anymore
Yeah.
because there's no secondary market. They can't make their money back.
Well, I mean, Netflix, I guess, but
It's not the same.
yeah, it's not.
It isn't the same.
No, it's not
Yeah.
making a rental fee
DVD.
every single
Exactly.
time.
Yeah, and it flows in for like weeks and weeks and weeks after, and you're
Yeah.
making tons of money off that.
And you guys remember, like in college, DVDs were huge. So remember Grandma's Boy from Happy Madison?
Yeah.
Major flop in theaters.
Yep.
And made a shit ton of money on DVD.
Yeah.
That's how Family Guy came back. Actually,
Yep.
they got canceled in '99 or 2000, and then their DVD sales brought them back.
They're
to
like, okay, we just canceled you, and now we're going to bring you back for $100 million contract.
you're
And
on
100 million years.
yeah, it's still going.
It's a Scientology contract.
I would just like to say I was an early supporter of Tommy Boy.
Yes. When it started making more money on VHS, they're like, all right, we got something here. The studio immediately goes to Lorne. They go, all right, what's that next project that you had? It's greenlit already. And Lorne's like, our script's not even ready yet. And they're like, we don't care. Start
He's
filming.
got vocal fry now.
Yeah.
Hey.
The studio's like, "Are you okay, dude?" Like,
I don't know.
I've been better.
So they start pushing them like into production, just like, and it's Fred Wolf that's writing it. Legend has it that they started filming this movie without having a script completely done.
Oh, I believe that.
It's very apparent. And Lorne said that he feels bad because he's like, Chris really took it to heart about the bad reviews with this one, but it just wasn't made with the same love and attention that we gave to Tommy Boy.
Well, it could have been his fault because he just rushed it because he gets a cut out of anyone that does SNL. He gets a cut of their entire fucking career.
Yeah, exactly.
So he probably just like, maybe he's going through a divorce or something. Need more some extra scratch, and he's like just pushing these projects through.
Yeah, those movies.
Dude, Black Sheep is horrible.
It is.
It doesn't hold. There's no. You can't even rewatch it.
Vote
And be
for
like,
Donnelly.
there's a little bit. It's,
Yeah,
no, it's
he just
bad.
falls down a hill.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
that's the only thing people remember from that.
Yeah.
sad. It's sad watching it. Really.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that spark.
It's
There was
falling down
one
the hill
part-
and then them walking up the floor when like the
Yeah.
cabin's
Yeah.
tilted. That's
There
it.
was one thing where I
It's
think
an interesting shot.
Yeah, exactly.
David Spade gave Gary Busey the finger in the car. He's like, "Hold on, I got something for you." He pulls out of his pocket his middle finger.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. I
Yeah,
took
that was
away from
pretty
that.
inspired.
Yeah.
A middle finger gag.
Genius. Yeah.
The only part I thought was funny when that Christine Ebersol is that political lady. She's giving a speech. She's like, I would just like to say. Then she sees Farley like up on some kind of wire. Holy shit!
It's an absurd movie.
Is that worth buying the ticket though? Not really.
No.
A lot of juvenile humor.
Yeah.
But it was too much of him yelling. It was just Chris Farley yelling, getting stuck on like an airplane,
Yeah.
But this is in his psyche what he was, supposed to be looked at as like comedically fucking talented.
Fat guy falls down.
Fatty falls down.
Tommy One Wingy.
He didn't.
Yeah, Tommy Want Wingy worked a year before.
That's
This time it
basically
didn't work.
his movie career. Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
So when he was filming Black Sheep, he wasn't having the best time. He was there with David Spade. It's his friend. So, I mean, they had a good time together. But deep down, he knew it wasn't going to be a good movie. He ended up inviting his brother, Tom Jr., to the premiere of Black Sheep. And as the movie was going on, his brother said that Chris was just sinking further into his seat, like, fuck, this movie sucks.
Oh,
it's
no.
horrible. And so he ended up not going back with his brother anywhere. He just took off by himself, went on a 2-week bender, and ended up in rehab again.
Fuck.
Because he just knew the bad press was coming. He just felt like he couldn't do anything right.
But he's using that as an excuse, as a crutch, like, oh, because this movie's not great, now I can just get very fucked up.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous because Tommy Boy was a success. You can put that in the success column. And that was just the year before.
Yeah, but if you're that sensitive of a person and are easily depressed and are doing drugs anyway, that makes it easier to become depressed. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
He goes to rehab and comes out and is just, he's not doing well.
I heard
still
that
on drugs.
that day after the premiere where he was with his brother, the brother said, Dad called me the next day and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with Chris? He tore apart our hotel room yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He just went Tasmanian devil, ripped up the fucking hotel room, took off, went on a 2-week bender and ended up in rehab.
He was just super unpredictable and just like would just go ballistic and insane all the time.
Go Belushi.
Hello.
He would get really fucked up and just ask people like Norm Macdonald, am I really funny?
Yeah.
Do you think I'm funny?
Oh,
dude,
God.
that exists. I was doing shows with a comic who's famous, and we were on the road together.
Is he still living?
Yes, in the limelight a little bit now because of something that's going on in his life. But
Does it involve Tiffany Haddish?
No.
Okay.
I remember him getting off stage, and the crowd is going crazy, like fucking standing ovation. The green room is shaking from people screaming so loud and clapping.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he's sitting down and he just looks really depressed. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? And he looks up at me and his eyes are just full of tears. And he goes, am I really funny? And I was like, do you not hear what's going on right now? Like, what are you talking about? And he goes, no. He goes, they're only laughing because they know me from like TV or whatever.
Oh, fuck that.
This guy's looking for a compliment.
Yeah, he's fishing for a compliment.
Fishing
Come
for a
on.
compliment.
But he started like literally sobbing in the green room, being like, I'm not fucking funny. If these people didn't know me, I wouldn't be able to get a laugh. I'm like, well, that's a good position to be in.
A drug user?
Previous.
It sounds like drugs.
Dry drunk, possibly. Or he might have been on. I don't know.
Okay.
Either way.
He sounds like a mess.
Yeah.
We'll hear at some point.
Good guy, though.
Yeah. I'm on the edge of my seat.
But he's
over
great.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
He's a good guy, and he's
Lunatic.
really
Great guy.
fucking funny.
I hate his guts. Great guy, though.
Yeah, exactly.
He gets out of rehab, and it just doesn't work. They said that every time he went to rehab, it was like slapping a Band-Aid on him that would just fall off. Like,
Putting a Band-Aid on the Titanic.
right. For some reason, Lorne thought it would be a good idea to invite Chris back to host SNL in October of 97.
There was a Maxim magazine article about this specifically.
It's bad.
Will Ferrell was very honest about it and said, like, I've never seen any human being as messed up as Chris Farley during this time.
Tune in next week for the conclusion of the life and death of Chris Farley.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
Show starts in 1 minute.
Education laid the foundation.
I got a D+!
Heredity opened the door.
Oh!
And dedication took it from there.
Oh!
Do we really want to put the future of the company in Tommy's hands?
Paramount Pictures presents...
It's a clip, huh? Are you sure?
Chris Farley.
That's gonna leave a mark.
David Spade.
Yikes.
Tommy Boy.
Did you live under power lines as a kid or something?
Rated PG-13.
And now, on with the show.
Welcome back for part 2 of the death of Chris Farley. The Band-Aid just falls off every time.
A Band-Aid on the Titanic.
Correct.
Yeah. Yours is a little more muddled, and Alejandro's reference is just more, quicker.
Yeah.
It's cleaner. It's cleaner. The Facebook. Yeah, just Facebook. It's cleaner.
And might I add that he was sober, if you can believe it, for Beverly Hills Ninja.
Yeah, he was.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would just like cold turkey that entire shooting set.
He cleaned up for that because it was technically his first movie where he was the leading man.
And he's like, I better fucking get my shit together.
And not to brag, but we have a little inside info.
Oh, yeah.
We know a guy.
Our favorite place here to go sometimes to get very stale bread and some mediocre pizza. It's called Little Tony's here in North Hollywood.
You can get spaghetti with a side of spaghetti.
Yeah. It's all very frozen and bad, and no one knows why we go there. But
And it's the best.
Yeah, we love it.
We love it, and it's close. It's very convenient. But there was this guy one night who was overhearing us talking, and for some reason
About Chris Farley.
Yeah, he felt the need. He felt the urge and desire to implant himself into our conversation.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, what did he tell us? He said he worked on Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley.
Yes.
That was his statement. That was his claim.
Yeah.
And then
he said Chris was very nice.
Yeah.
Consummate professional. But then he stole a story from Norm Macdonald and his experience on the set of The People versus Larry Flint.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and said that Chris was such a good actor that when he started talking, he didn't realize he was in the scene. And so the guy was fucking up his line or whatever. And the director was like, cut. What the fuck was that? What are you doing?
Well, to give it context, Norm Macdonald was in a scene with Woody Harrelson in The People versus Larry Flint. He said, hey, I got a beer here. You want a beer? And Norm Macdonald's like, yeah, no, I don't want a beer.
No.
We're acting here today. And then they're like, cut. And he's like, that was the scene. What are you doing
It's like
here?
He's so good at acting. I thought he was just talking
I
to me.
thought he was just talking to me, asking me for a beer.
Yeah, so this guy said that about Chris Farley.
Yeah, and this guy we knew right off the bat, like, this man is a crazy person. He's not telling us the truth at all. He just wants to talk to someone while he's downing like rum and cokes.
Yeah.
He was claiming to be a stand-in.
Yeah, he might have been a backup or an extra.
And you don't think it's possible that this story happened twice
No.
to two different people?
No.
Okay.
Impossible. This guy had heard a couple things, and he wanted to try them out on some strangers that we were, and that was it. Yeah.
All right, well.
Apparently, Chris.
That's our Beverly Hills
and we're sticking to it.
Trivia.
Yeah, legendary story we have. About some bum in Little Tony's.
You might need to lie down after hearing that one.
Yeah.
Too hot.
Yeah, give yourself a breather.
Is that fajitas? No, it's that story.
One of his last times on Letterman was one of the funniest intros on a talk show I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, when he picks the guy up and throws him in the trash.
Yeah. He picks him up in the the late night studio. He runs out back and throws the guy in a dumpster
And closes it on him and runs back in.
Yeah, it's like, hey Dave, so how's it going?
Which is like, it was such a legendary thing that happened on that show. He tried to recapture it so many times, but he was so fucked up most of the time. It didn't come across. And actually, one of these times is his last appearance on Jay Leno, which is January of 1997. And this was, months after Black Sheep came out. Horrible movie, did not do well, was not doing good for his ego. So he came out and he is just coked out of his mind. I can't tell if it's standard definition or like just a shadow from standard definition, but it looks like at one point his nose starts bleeding and then he does like a huge like to try to like suck it up.
God.
And then stays on and starts like jumping, fucking doing karate and shit.
Chris, it's good to see you. Good to see you, Jay.
Chris, I'm going to take a wild guess. I'm going to guess you were back in Wisconsin recently.
Yeah, I was, Jay. And I brought you.
Is that for me?
Jay, do you ever have shooting pains in your arm and chest?
He's got a cheese head out.
Jay, got your cheese head?
Put that on.
Oh my God, he's like fucking dying.
I saw this appearance at the time. I was so fucking excited.
And a Favre jersey.
Favre jersey.
Yeah.
resident scumbag.
Imagine being a kid
stole from welfare.
Little kid in Wisconsin seeing this.
Yeah.
I know Favre's watching tonight. Go get some of their butt on Sunday.
Yeah, he beat the Patriots. Fucking asshole.
Awesome.
So Jay
Scumbag.
Leno's from Boston, and he's from Wisconsin. And a couple weeks later, the Patriots played the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they lost.
Yeah.
And the Packers won.
Drew Bledsoe blew it.
You blew it! And you blew it!
Desmond Howard ran that ball right to the end zone.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
the first kickoff or one of the first kickoffs?
Yeah, it was early.
Tough game.
You guys be the judge. Do you think that there was blood that actually comes out here?
Karate guy?
I did, Jay. It was unbelievable. I started about 3-4 months because I didn't know
Oh,
anything about
yeah.
martial
He's
arts before I
that's
started.
blood. Yep.
No, I'm a pro.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely.
I studied with this
That
guy.
is-
Jesus Christ.
I did, Jay. It was unbelievable.
That's
I
so
started about
crazy.
3-4 months because I didn't know anything about martial arts.
That's
before
a
I
lot
started.
of blood. That's not a little bit.
But anyway,
And he's clearly on something.
And I'm sure
his
they
name was
they did a
Matt
quick
Foley.
edit and like rotoscoped out some of that blood. It probably looked a lot worse.
Yeah.
It was probably showing up on like his mustache area.
Oof.
Yeah.
But yeah, that huge, like, clearly trying to
Hey,
suck it up.
Kevin, you seeing this guy? He's got blood out of his nose.
Cocaine in his mouth? He did a little too much cocaine in there, huh?
You got any more? Just kidding. I don't do drugs. I don't spend my Tonight Show money.
I just give it to Mavis, and she does what she wants with it.
I'll do coke. It goes straight to my chin.
Yeah. I got a bunch of pizzas to eat in the back later. I want to keep my appetite.
You got a big head. I got a big chin.
So it was very clear.
We go off on Jay Leno so much on this.
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
He, it's just very clear to people at this point he's not doing well. But he was there to promote Beverly Hills Ninja, which was coming out in February that year.
Yeah.
So he ends that fucking with like 3 nunchucks just
Yeah.
like flying and sweating everywhere. It's bad. So for 1997, it's clear Chris is not doing well. 17 stints in rehab in total, which is a lot. From 1991, that's 6 years, 17, 6, 12. That's three rehab stints a year, pretty much.
That's
Wow.
a joke.
Yeah.
That's a waste of everybody's time and resources.
He just goes right back into it right when he gets out. Yeah.
That's true.
His last time on SNL, he hosted in October of 1997. It was not good.
So Lorne thought bringing him back might set him on the right track, get him into the old schedule, some familiarity.
Yeah, and Lorne said he quickly realized how out of his own element that he actually was. Like, he's like, used to be an all-star at this. You're an all-time great, and now you're struggling to even keep up.
And before the monologue, the Live from New York cold open, it's all about Lorne saying like, oh, you know, is Chris going to be like with it enough to host?
The last trip to the spa, it did the trick.
Well, we do need a host for October 25th.
Cannot do better than Chris Farley, sir. I mean, fatty falls down, ratings go up.
Believe me, I know. But how do I know he's not going to screw up?
Well,
Because I won't.
Weirdly meta and just unpleasant.
Well, they're having that conversation. It's Chevy Chase and Tim Meadows with Lorne Michaels. And while they're having that conversation, Chris Farley is in the green room with Anna Gasteyer, like trying to fuck her. It's like such a weird thing.
Yeah.
And then he goes in
What?
and does that. It's just like so weird from the start.
Marcy, can you get me Chris Rock's number?
We have some of it here. Like, what the
Marcy
fuck?
Klein.
Yeah, that all heard you.
And apparently he did fuck Anna Gasteyer.
Look, Chris, you still have time, all right? You can go out there and you can show America your courage, your talent, and your surprising athleticism.
Look, I don't know, sweetie.
Oh my
Well,
God.
I do know. You can do it, Chris Farley.
By God, you are right, honey.
Oh.
Where's my underpants?
That voice is really destroyed.
So he was so coked up and like ready to fucking go that he ruined his voice during rehearsal. And they were like,
Oh.
shit. Because he can't even. Oh, that was a tease.
We heard
He jumped over the
from
table.
Chris Rock.
Fooey on Chris Rock. I'm gonna host this show.
Wow. Who is that guy?
Tim Meadows.
Oh, he's really got something. Is he new?
This is his 8th season.
This is just badly written.
Low energy.
And like all the fans of SNL are supposed to be following Chris's journey into drug addiction.
I know, it's
like
weird.
This was all common knowledge.
Yeah,
I
like
guess, at that time.
what kind of message does that send?
Nobody would have noticed if they didn't make any references to Chris being fucked up.
No. Yeah.
Just have a good show with Chris hosting.
Well, they thought like this will play well because we won't look bad if it comes out really bad.
Yeah.
It was a crutch, yeah.
I think they're in such a bubble that they think that news was bigger than it was because I don't think anybody really knew or gave a fuck.
Timmy, come back.
So now Chris is out for some reason?
And
Chris
Timmy
Rock,
damn sure ain't the host tonight.
Well, Chris Rock was hot right now.
Yeah. Bigger and blacker.
In
just came out.
'97, yeah.
So they introduced Chris Farley, and he's so fucked up.
That's right, Chris here. Now, the three of us started the same year, and a lot's happened since then, Chris here has gone up to Hollywood to make big movies. Me, I've got my own show on HBO.
Oh, yeah, he had the talk show.
Yeah. Chris Rock show.
Timmy's still black.
Bring the pain you were thinking
Thank
of.
you, Chris. I've really learned some lessons tonight. You know what I've learned? I've learned lessons about responsibility. Being responsible, not only to myself, to the people around me. That means you guys. I think it's time to quit goofing around. I think it's time to grow up, fellas. I want you to know everything's gonna be okay.
All right, okay.
I'm the new Chris, okay, fellas? Now, we're got a great show tonight. Mighty, mighty Bosstones are here.
This is painful.
Yeah, come on.
It's really bad to watch.
Oh, my God.
Really tough to watch.
Give me
man.
Black Sheep.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure as a
real.
kid though, I was like, oh, I love this.
That show just did not go over well with anybody. They tried to bring back Matt Foley. It didn't work. There was just a lot of things.
Nothing worked.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald was doing Weekend Update at the time.
Yeah.
And they wanted to get him as a character to do that, but he was so out of breath he couldn't do it. And he was doing jokes about OJ that were just bombing, and Norm was just like, can you pretend to laugh so Chris can get a fucking break?
Norm loved Chris Farley.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody did.
He put him in dirty work.
They were like genuine buds.
Yeah, exactly. And either Norm or Bob Odenkirk saw Chris Farley in his limo a month or two before he died, and he was all fucked up on coke, and they were just like, dude, you gotta stop.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know, what am I doing? And he would always say that to people, like, oh, what am I doing? But he knew exactly what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah, he's getting more coke.
Yeah.
You know.
So there really wasn't much memorable about the episode.
Was the El Nino thing like I talked about? Like,
yeah,
I am the Nino, also known as the Nino, whatever.
El Nino, which is Spanish for the Nino.
That's the only thing I remember from this episode.
My stepfather still quotes that.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's the only thing I remember from that.
I mean, it's the only thing that's actually quotable from the whole
or
fucking
discernible,
thing.
Because it's.
Yeah.
He was able to get through that somehow.
Yeah. So there's an article about Chris from allthat'sinteresting.com, and they say the drug-fueled final days of Chris Farley. After 17 stints in rehab, Chris Farley could not outrun his demons. After a 4-day binge involving booze and various drugs, Farley was found dead at the age of 33 on December 18th, 1997. I didn't realize his brother John was the one that found him sprawled out in his Chicago apartment entryway, wearing only pajama bottoms.
And his other brother found out about it watching the news.
Oh.
He saw Chris's picture on TV. He's like, oh, what's this about?
What?
Then he saw the ambulance outside the Hancock building. He's like, oh, Chris Farley's dead.
Jesus.
Ouch.
And by the way, it was Bob Odenkirk who saw him in the limo before he died.
Yeah.
Said, hey, man, you got to get help.
God. His binge reportedly began at a club called Karma, where Farley partied until 2 a.m. and afterward took the party to his apartment. The next evening, he stopped by the 38th anniversary party for Second City and then was spotted joining a pub crawl after that.
Oh, God.
Where he would have been the toast of the town.
Just hanging out with strangers and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's so bad.
Hanging out with Sharna Halpern or something.
Yeah, those bums.
Yeah. The next day, he blew off plans to get a haircut and allegedly spent time with a $300 per hour call girl instead. And she claimed that Chris Farley was just more interested in getting her cocaine or getting her to give him cocaine than anything else. He didn't want to have sex. He just wanted her to get blow.
Yikes.
Interesting. That's a interesting avenue to go down to get drugs.
Yeah.
To go through a call girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's when you know you're bad because even your dealers are like, "Nah, we're good.
Yeah,
Like, we're not giving."
That's
you
like
anything."
going to like an ATM and getting a fee of like $10 or something just to get out another $10.
Yeah. She said, "I don't think he knew what he wanted. You could just tell he was on a rampage and just kept bouncing from room to room."
He must have had a big place. I'm wondering how nice his place was.
Well, this
Great
is
location.
this is in the John Hancock building.
Okay.
In Chicago.
Is this in the North Loop?
Yes, it's downtown.
I only know the loops in Chicago.
It's one of the tallest buildings in the world.
Oh.
It's the place you can go to Hancock Tower.
Near Sears Tower, I assume.
Yes, and see, the overlook of Lake Michigan, the city, and it's awesome because you're so high up.
Yeah.
And usually
that's where Ferris Bueller was hanging out in when they were up top.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. While Jeffrey Jones was on the trail chasing him.
He was chasing him all right. I wonder what he was going to do if he caught him.
And so Hancock Building, usually you think of it as just like a tourist thing.
Yeah.
There's restaurants there, there's the overlook on top.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess Chris Farley had an apartment in there.
Yeah.
It must have been, that's like a next level suite if you get shit like that.
So what's the theory? There's not much known. He's just basically doing blow and hanging out with this call girl.
Yeah.
What are they discussing?
World politics. Newt Gingrich.
How to get more call girls and more blow.
Yeah. Kosovo, maybe they were talking.
What do you think is going to happen with this Clinton stuff?
What's going on with the Balkans, I'm doing that as Dennis Miller.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, what's going on with these Balkans, huh?
It's like a Cronenberg flick in my head.
It's like Baryshnikov mixed with Mickey Mouse over here, babe.
Yeah, so some of the news outlets were saying it was drug and alcohol related, but most people were saying it was heart failure, and some people even thought he choked to death. In January 1998, the cause of death was officially revealed to be a deadly overdose of morphine and cocaine.
Morphine?
Yeah, he was speedballing.
Fuck.
Yep.
So that is the same way that
John Belushi
died.
His hero.
Yeah, it had to be his hero. I think you see a direct lineage to their styles, but I think Chris Farley was funnier.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
not even close.
Who needs to compare?
And in the documentary, I Am Chris Farley, Dan Aykroyd's being interviewed, and he was like, David Spade and Chris Farley as a duo, they're right up there, with Aykroyd and Belushi. And I was just like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you guys can't even hold a candle. Can't even hold a candle.
He looks around to see how people react to that.
Yeah, in what? The John Landis flick, The Blues Brothers?
Yeah, what are they in together? What's he talking about?
No, he said, he goes Abbott and Costello, Aykroyd and Belushi.
The Blues Brothers.
Martin and Lewis.
Yeah, what the fuck?
The star of the Blues Brothers with all the cars coming in and flying around everywhere.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
So he has a healthy ego.
Yeah. John Belushi also died at age 33. And of the same fucking thing, man.
Same thing as Jesus.
Yeah.
33.
Except Chris Farley was just hanging out with this call girl.
Yeah.
Who he didn't even know.
No.
Belushi's hanging out with who was
Robin
hanging
Williams?
out with Belushi that night? Robert De Niro, Robin Williams,
some dragon-faced lady,
and then a punk rock band.
Yeah,
what? She looked tough.
Yeah,
this lady looked tough.
She was tough.
Yeah, tough. Too much.
I gotta go home.
Gotta go.
I got a family.
Gotta get back to my wife.
So in Farley's case, they said significant contributing factor was the narrowing of his arteries that supplied blood to the heart.
And the significant amount of coke. And fucking heroin, whatever the fuck else he was doing.
I wonder, his diet must have been wild.
Oh, awful.
Yeah.
They speculated heroin during his SNL days.
Wow.
When he was really out of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was doing it then, too. Yeah.
We don't know the extent of this fucking guy's drug use.
Who knows?
It was a secret double
whatever
life.
he could get his hands on.
Yeah. His blood test revealed that he had an antidepressant in his system, also an antihistamine. So he's got Benadryl in his system just like everybody else.
Oh, Benadryl. Back after a little break. Here.
Yeah. We're right back to it. They said that neither contributed to his death, though. So that's Benadryl. That's big Benadryl sending a letter being like, hey, don't put us in this.
But that's a
shit.
common denominator.
Yeah, for real.
In a lot of these deaths by like toxicity.
Traces of marijuana were found. However, 0 alcohol in his system when he died. It was straight up just morphine and cocaine.
But maybe his body was like, he was dead for so long he just couldn't drink because he was dead. Doesn't alcohol leave your system? It leaves your system after like 2 days or a day.
He was about to grab a beer.
He was dead.
He's about to grab a beer and just collapses.
Quote of the day.
So, what is the scenario though? He like passes out
And
then
he's foaming at the mouth.
Does she see him foaming?
Yes.
And she just leaves him.
Yeah, and he says his final words were, "Don't leave me."
That's
she
so
left.
fucked up.
Yeah.
So this
She
call
freaked out and
girl
took
was,
off.
and she didn't tell anyone. She didn't call the cops.
No.
She's probably like, I just
She
killed
freaked
Chris
out and
Farley.
ran.
Did they ever interview her?
Yes.
And what did she say?
And she told them that he said, "Don't leave me," and she took off.
But she no charges?
No, not as far as I know.
Well, it's hard to prove all that stuff.
And she's a congresswoman now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, AOC. Not to be confused with RDJ.
Oh, God.
I love RDJ.
Yeah, me too.
And Artie Lang.
Yeah.
Who also had some similarities
That's true.
to Chris
Similar.
Farley.
Yeah. Similar sketch big guy.
Yep.
This woman's name was Heidi Hauser, and she is not looked upon fondly by Chris Farley's friends because they believe she would have been able to prevent the comic's death.
Because she took care of him so well.
Yeah. So she said he was doing cocaine, and then he did a potent street drug called Liquid G.
That sounds refreshing.
Yeah.
Sounds bad.
Liquid G, I guess, was just morphine, apparently.
That sounds like a drug from the future or something.
It sounds like a rapper from the future.
Yeah, a lot of things.
She said, while I was pleasuring him, Chris kept saying, "Oh, mama, mama, oh, I love you. I want to marry you. You're so beautiful." During the next hours, he did more cocaine, went to McDonald's, got Big Macs, fries, and Cokes, and bought 3 bottles of vodka, orange juice, and cigarettes.
So he's like having a good time.
He's living the life.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. McDonald's, Coke, and cigarettes. Yeah. Sign me up.
So that kind of contradicts the other theory. It sounds like he was in it for a little nookie.
Yeah, a little bit. She says...
He did it off with a nookie.
Yeah.
Come on! She said Chris started snorting heroin, saying, "I really love this stuff. I used to do it all the time on Saturday Night Live, and I couldn't do a show without it."
Wow.
Not one show.
That's what she said.
He
said
he's constantly going up and down with his drugs and it's so crazy. I can't imagine doing this amount of stuff. Like, I think it's just people that every second of the day they have to be feeling something extreme like that.
Yeah. So this was all at her place. And then they headed to his pad on the 60th floor of the iconic Hancock building at 10:05 p.m., where he, quote, did 2 more bags of heroin.
About 2 more bags?
Yeah. And about 5 more vodkas and orange juice, spilling them everywhere.
So not much actually went into his system.
Yeah. Chris walked into
the floor got pretty drunk.
Yeah, it's going through his skin, though.
Yeah, I mean, the booze isn't what to be worried about. It's the fucking heroin, I would assume.
Yeah, that'd probably be
the OJ and vodka sounds pretty...
The heroin's the more potent issue there.
Pretty light.
Yeah.
Chris walked into the hallway and tried to do a comedy pratfall, and he landed on his back, his feet pointing at the door, and started snoring. At 3 a.m., she left him a note saying, "I had a neat time. I took my camera and took a picture of him lying there. If he did call me, I'd show it to him and would have a good laugh." And that's his final death picture. It's him foaming at the mouth, dead in the fucking hallway.
That is so disturbing.
That's his place right there?
Yep.
Wow.
Bleeding from the eyes. Like, how crazy
It's
is that?
really disturbing.
It's graphic.
Oh, my God.
Graphic.
Yeah. Wow. That is the toll of excessive drug use.
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you start bleeding from the eyes like that? That's crazy.
He hit it hard and he went out hard.
Yeah. It's the Coke, whatever. I don't know.
And the heroin.
And the heroin. Jesus.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Jesus Christ.
That's like a death wish. That's not like, just letting loose on the weekend. That's that really is a death wish. And I think
it is.
He knew more of what he was doing and, than he let on.
I think the numbers adding up with Belushi dying at 33 and him dying at 33, I think he knew it in the back of his head.
And he's about to turn 34 in February.
Yeah.
So he's like, shit, I got to get this going.
Yeah, so December 18th, you got 2 months left before you turn 34.
Yeah.
Couldn't he at least have finished Shrek?
That was a huge thing. That's a thing that not a lot of people know about. He had voiced and recorded 80% of the movie before he died.
Shrek.
He was Shrek. I actually can find the...
He did it in his regular voice, or did he also do it Scottish?
Nah, he did it in his regular voice. It's not nearly as good. But Eddie Murphy was already cast at the time, and so they have like a storyboard and their voices mixed together. It's pretty fascinating.
The same thing happened with Belushi, where he was lined up to be in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that's true.
This is Chris Farley as Shrek.
Man, there's nothing like a fire and a noble romantic mission to warm the cockles of your heart.
Yeah. I like my cockles room temperature, thank you very much.
Hey, if you're not doing this for cockle warming, why are you doing it?
Simple. Fartwad gets his princess, I get what I want.
Which is? Now, come on, what do you want?
I don't have time to set it to music.
Oh,
yeah,
this
it
is another one of
pretty
those onion
lackluster compared to...
Yeah, it really is. Mike
Myers.
Myers really brought more to it.
It would not have become a franchise that it is today if Farley was the one doing
Because that's... Bob Odenkirk said this. He said that Chris Farley could be magic, but then once the drugs took over, it's just fucking depressing.
Yeah.
The magic is gone.
Well... That's a big thing that George Carlin would always say. He'd be like, there's a point with any chemical or substance or whatever where, when you're younger, the fun is big and then the pain is low. But when you get older and you start becoming an addict, the pain gets a lot higher and the fun gets a lot lower. And I think that's what happens. And Chris Farley was just in denial that he was eventually going to have to come to terms with the fact that he had to stop doing this. Maybe he just couldn't see himself as an adult living past this era of his life.
Yeah.
He's just out of his mind. Because any halfway normal person would have all that success and kind of be like, you know what? Maybe I should be sober for a couple months. I want to do a good movie that Ebert and Siskel will give thumbs up to. Like, I'm motivated to do better work and to be a better performer instead of just, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to now go completely out of control and double down on the black sheep style of humor.
Yeah. Well, if you see that example of Belushi, you're like, oh, I can be as fucked up as I want to because this is what I'm supposed to do in this role. And you can't compare anything to 70s drug use because those people got fucked up.
Yeah. And they died.
Yeah. But Chris Farley is working, he's in the 90s, but in a 70s mentality of getting fucked up. And I don't know, it wasn't two different generations, but those people got fucked up. I don't know what it was about the 70s and drugs, but people were maniacs.
I believe that he just thought he could keep doing that. That he could do
no
rehab.
No way.
I think he knew he was going to die.
Go to rehab, get fucked up, go to rehab. I think he thought he could keep doing that for a while.
And just go through that cycle. Maybe he enjoyed the cycle in a sick way.
Because you cannot tell me he did not love to perform.
I think
he would have loved to continue performing.
I think, though, a very depressive person knows exactly what they're getting into.
So you think this is maybe a little
I think he was living on the edge on purpose, yeah. Knowing it could happen at any time.
I mean, the 33 thing is coincidental.
Yeah. I think Belushi was more of a mistake. And I think with Chris Farley, he was just a lonely guy that he didn't see himself being anything past the age of 33.
This is so annoying because you know that hot chick and Tommy Boy that David Spade is creeping on at the pool scene?
That was Chris Farley's girlfriend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This guy had everything in life.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, the girls loved him.
I could be wrong.
So you're saying he's this lonely, sad guy. Everybody fucking loved him. He was rich. He was famous.
So why is he doing all
Lorne
these drugs and
Michaels.
fucking by himself in this fucking sad condo, which is nice, but it's like a... You're just isolated up in this big building, which is like commercial space. You have no neighbors. You're just there, just getting annihilated.
Yeah, but it's in the Hancock building. Like, come on. And fucking Lorne Michaels thinks you're one of the funniest performers ever. Fuck off being lonely and sad.
Well, I mean, Lorne thought that at one time, but he also fired him. So it's like,
But not really.
But in a
because
depressive
Lorne,
person's head,
he fired him, but he produced Black Sheep.
Yeah, because he makes money
Yeah,
off
and he
of
rushed
why
Black
would,
Sheep.
Yeah.
And
he
made it
need-
the failure.
'cause he
As
needed
we
the
already
fucking
know,
money.
they fired the whole cast that season. 94, 95 is considered infamously bad for SNL.
Yeah.
I think that's a little dramatic. It has some funny stuff.
I don't think it ever really recovered.
But there was
from
a
that.
New York...
The New Yorker. Is
no,
that
not the New Yorker.
New York Magazine.
New York Magazine article that season that was devastating.
Yeah, they put Chris Farley on the cover as the #1 reason why that season failed.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
Yeah, so Lorne had to do a whole turnover. But make no mistake, he had Chris Farley right on board for other projects.
Yeah. Why are they letting all these stupid comedy journalists actually dictate what's going on at SNL? These people are fucking losers.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Tim Dillon roast that New York Times comedy journalist?
Yes.
Yeah, he tore that guy apart. That was amazing.
Yeah. That guy was one of the writers of one of the articles I talked about.
Oh,
really?
Shit.
Wow.
He took it in stride, but like Tim Dillon was like, "Why are you writing about clowns on the New York Times? Why? There's actually things going on in the world."
Crazy.
Deconstructing comedy is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
You can say objectively, Black Sheep isn't very good.
Yeah.
But if somebody laughed at it and likes it, can you really argue with them?
Yeah, the kill or getting laughs is as hard as you can anyway. The hardest thing you can do. So just let them try, and then if people laugh, it gets money and people enjoy it. If not, it's done.
Yeah.
And I can understand your guys' point, like, despite all that, he's so messed up that he still finds a way to be miserable.
Yeah. Maybe he's just a miserable dude.
I think he's just a sensitive guy and wanted to be loved so bad that any negativity went his way. It just did not do well for him.
Yeah.
He couldn't handle what comes with being in the big leagues.
If it all wasn't 100% positive, and when he gets a little bit sober, all the stuff that he did bad, like that SNL last appearance and stuff, it comes rushing back to him, and he has to deal with it and process it if he's sober. So that's why he just keeps the cycle going.
Yeah,
because he's pissed off so many people,
and we've all been there. You can see on that stage in SNL, you can tell inwardly he's probably feeling this isn't going so well. And he's probably panicking in his head, like, okay, keep doing the shtick that everybody wants you to do and you think they'll like. Yeah. And it just ends up bombing. It doesn't work. But yet, in the moment, he's freaking out, like, how do I make this work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
because all his tools are gone. All the stuff that he was able to do to get ready, last minute. But they were all drug related. So like, I'm going to snort heroin. That's how I get through these episodes. What?
That's so crazy.
No, that's not sustainable.
No. A private funeral was held on December 23rd, 1997 at Our Lady Queen of Peace Catholic Church in his hometown of Madison, Wisconsin. Over 500 people attended, including many comedians who he had worked with, such as Dan Aykroyd, Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Rob Schneider. Lorne Michaels was there. Al Franken, John Goodman, George Wendt, and Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman was at his funeral.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
right before his.
Oh, my God.
How crazy is that?
You know who wasn't there, though?
Bryn?
No. David Spade did not show up to the funeral.
What?
No, he didn't. He said it was too hard for him.
Wow.
He wouldn't go.
Holy shit.
And he had trouble even talking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Notably absent was Farley's best friend, David Spade.
And remember that book, An Oral History of SNL, that came out in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
Where it was all the cast members and producers and writers talking candidly. It was just like quotes from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Rock said in that, 2 guys start SNL the same day. One is a black guy from Bed-Stuy. The other is a white guy from Madison, Wisconsin. Which one's going to OD?
Wow.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Chris Farley's remains are interred at Resurrection Cemetery in Madison. Do you know who did his eulogy?
Bob Odenkirk?
Tom Arnold.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know the funniest things about that? The first thing I remember of Chris Farley on SNL was playing Tom Arnold, in which his pants came down.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I don't know, Dennis. I'm not, he's doing like all the hand motions. And then his pants fall down. Dennis Miller goes, I just saw the new guy's ass. But he like broke the fourth wall for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were very close.
Well, they're both like Midwest comics, kind of.
It was his first call when he was talking about the Chippendales thing. Like, he was really upset about it and didn't know if he should fucking do it. And he's asking Tom Arnold, who's out of his goddamn mind.
His impression of Tom Arnold is so fucking
so
funny.
good.
I don't know, Tom. Why would we do the things that they said we did? Yeah, this the hand motions. Yeah. Yeah. And then Victoria Jackson played Roseanne. They were so good at that.
They were great.
As that couple.
Thank you. Before you kind of laughed when I said Victoria Jackson.
She was really funny.
Brilliant.
She wasn't bad.
She was really funny. Now she's out of her fucking mind.
Then she was.
Who cares what she's doing now? I'm talking about that.
I do, because now it's interesting to see how crazy
is funny.
she is.
She was part of the Tea Party, and now it's QAnon.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You
She's
know.
going to be storming the Capitol again someday.
Absolutely. And she does the same act with her little ukulele.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God.
the same one she did on Carson in the 80s.
Yeah.
Fucking terrible.
I liked her in Casual Sex actually with Dice.
Asshole.
A little known movie.
Yeah, I recommend that movie. It's actually not that
Was
bad.
that Leah Thompson?
Yeah, I think
with her?
I think that was it.
I love
Yeah,
Leah Thompson.
her sister
Caroline in the City.
Yeah, her daughter's a big actress.
That was a big sitcom from our time.
I know. I watched
Caroline in the City.
Did you jerk off to Caroline in the City? You creep.
Yeah, right before you got here.
So you
Oh,
liked
you're
her?
still ongoing.
Yeah.
You liked her with the short hair.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Dice. Asshole.
Ace. Oh,
Victoria Jackson was good friends with Dice, by the way.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I could see them getting along. Hey, Victoria, hickory dickory dock.
I saw her live in Madison, Wisconsin.
Shut up.
I swear to God.
What does she do live?
In the year
At
2000.
a fucking thrift store?
In the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
Me and my family got tickets and we went to see Victoria Jackson.
That's such a
And
wild family thing to do.
Yeah, let's get on to bring the whole family down to see Victoria Jackson.
Let's get in the station wagon, the Dowling station.
Yeah, we got
wagon.
in the station wagon and we went to the.
She read the Q files.
We went to the Chuckle Hut in Madison, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
and we saw fucking Victoria Jackson.
Wow.
And she did the same act she did on Carson and the same act she's doing now.
Holy shit.
Her big thing was she called her ex-husband, his name is Satan.
Nice.
Oh God.
She was good. She was good on SNL. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if she's a good member of QAnon or not, but SNL was. She was good. I enjoyed her.
Very
and Ellen
funny.
Cleghorn was funny. We don't have to go down the whole SNL casting. Yeah.
Let's rate each cast member.
Yeah.
Let's rank them.
Yeah.
All right, buckle up, everybody.
Like Rolling Stone.
This podcast is just getting started.
Remember Rolling Stone did that?
Yeah.
A few years ago, they ranked every cast member.
So dumb.
And all of the ones that were lower on the list were pissed.
Yeah.
Why would
And Norm
Rolling-
Macdonald was famously embarrassingly low on the list,
Yeah.
which is a joke.
He was like in the 60s or something. Like
Yeah, probably because he got fired, and that whole shit went down after Farley died, and Norm Macdonald got fired in 98 or 99 because he made fun of OJ too much.
Yeah.
And then Colin Quinn replaced him.
Yeah, Colin Quinn.
See, one door closes, a window opens.
Okay.
I love it.
John Lovitz had to go so Chris Farley could show up.
The circle of life.
Yep.
That's it.
And my heart will go on.
Any final thoughts, fellas?
Hey, what a guy. What a performer. I've always been kind of proud. I always thought it was cool he came from my state.
Oh, hell yeah.
As a kid, that was awesome to see him, with the cheese head on Leno, all that stuff.
There's not many. Are there any other real comedians that are from Wisconsin?
Not as big as Chris Farley. The way he promoted the state. There was so much love in that guy.
Yeah.
You could tell.
And he had a lot of foundations, and he brought a lot home. He was heavily involved, like Catholic foundations and stuff back at his church back in Wisconsin and shit. So
And children's hospitals.
Yes.
Yeah.
He would. He said that when he first got to SNL, people were asking like what his ultimate version of fame would be, and he was like, if I could show up to kids' hospitals and kids would want to see me as like, to make their day better, that's what I want to do. And he ended
Like
up
Patch
doing
Adams.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like a more palatable Patch Adams.
Yeah, a better one. Yeah.
Yeah, on coke.
I gotta go to the bathroom really quick, kids.
Yeah.
Well, that's the creepiest part about Patch Adams. He wasn't on coke doing that stuff.
Or was he?
Rest in peace, Chris Farley.
Rest in peace. Rest in power, Chris
Yes.
Farley. One of my favorite performers of all time.
Yeah.
It was at that sweet period of time where he was just amazing.
Yeah. And usually to end the show, we do let you guys know, follow us on Instagram, Death and Entertainment, YouTube, Death and Entertainment, Twitter, DiePod 2021.
Email. Hit us
so
up on
formal.
email.
He's like, this is how we end the show, kids.
Yeah.
deathandentertainment@gmail.com.
Thank you for warning us that you were going to give us the socials.
Yes. But no, we usually do end the show with like our normal outro, but we're going to play you out with Adam Sandler doing his song about Chris Farley.
Oh, very nice.
Enjoy. Try not to cry too much.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
All right, guys, gonna do this one. This is a very special song. I hope you like it. It means a lot to us. Here we go. First time I saw him, he was sweeter than shit. Plaid jacket and belt too tight, he wasn't even doing a bit. Then he cartwheeled around the room and slow danced with a cleaning lady. He was a one-man party. You know what I'm talking about my friend Chris Farley. On Saturday night, my man would always deliver. Whether he was the bumblebee girl or living in a van down by the river. He loved the Bears and Nick could dance at Chippendales with Swayze. When they replaced his coffee with Folgers, he went fucking crazy. The sexiest Gap girl and meatloaf in the band. Without him there'd be no lunch lady in lunch lady land. You know what I'm thinking about my boy Chris Farley. After a show, we drink a quart of Jack Daniels, then stick the bottle right up his ass. But hungover as hell, that Catholic boy always showed up to morning mass. We tell him, slow down, you'll end up like Belushi and Kenny. He said, those guys are my heroes, that's all fine and dandy. I ain't making that shit up, that's the truth about my boy Chris Farley. I saw him in the office crying with his headphones on. listening to a Casey and the Sunshine Band song. I said, buddy, how the hell's that making you so sad? Then he laughed and said, just thinking about my dad. The last big hang we had was at Timmy Meadows' wedding party. We laughed our balls off all night long, all because of Farley. But a few months later the party came to an end. We flew out to Madison to bury our friend. Nothing was harder than saying goodbye, except watching Chris's father have his turn to cry. Hey, but if life's moved on, but you still bring us so much joy. Make my kids laugh with your YouTube clips, or Tommy Boy. And when they ask me who's the funniest guy I ever knew, I tell them hands down, without a doubt, it's you. Yeah, I miss hanging out, watching you try to get laid. But most of all, I miss watching you fuck with Spade. You're a legend like you wanted, but I still wish you were here with me. And we were getting on a plane to go shoot Grown-Ups 3. Your love ain't the same without you, boy. And that's why I'm singing about my friend Chris Farley. And if we make enough noise, maybe he'll hear us. Give it up for the great